Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German theologian and a resistance figure back in the day, and he once observed stupidity is more dangerous, it's a more dangerous enemy of good than malice. This is going to be Bonhoeffer's warning and the future of dentistry, and we begin our podcast and our YouTube presentation right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
Today's presentation has actually been an ongoing study, research. I was actually listening to a talking head several months ago, and he brought up this guy named Bonhoeffer, and I actually started studying him, looking at him and who he was. Angel Studios actually did a movie about him. I watched the movie. I thought, wow, what an interesting individual. But he taught some really important and valuable lessons that I think pertain to dentistry. He taught that stupidity, not evil, is the greater threat, not because it's more powerful, but because stupidity is unreachable. You can expose evil, you can argue with it, you can shine a light on it, you can resist it, but stupidity just does not respond. It doesn't engage. It just is. And it spreads. And though written in the context of political oppression, Bonhoeffer's words actually resonate profoundly within dentistry today. The challenges our profession faces, insurance restrictions, reimbursement struggles, regulatory burdens, are not merely fueled by malice or greed. More often, I believe they are perpetuated by what Bonhoeffer described a surrender of independent thought and discernment. So in today's presentation, we're going to examine how Bonhoeffer's warning applies to dentistry and dental insurance and dental association leadership and dental teams. But more importantly, we're going to explore how liberation, not simply instruction, is the only antidote. I want to talk about stupidity versus malice in dentistry, because in Bonhoeffer's framework, stupidity is not an absence of intelligence. We're not stupid. But dentists and association leaders are among the most educated professionals in society. Instead, stupidity is a moral failure. The willful refusal to think critically, it is intellectual cowardice, or the surrender of discernment to groupthink or slogans or ideology. And we hear its voices common, and they state like, drop dental insurance plans and everything will improve, or submitting higher fee for service fees will force insurance companies to raise reimbursements, or a PPO contract prohibits you from charging patients more for better technology, materials, or medication. But none of those are grounded in truth or fact, and they are not nuanced arguments. They are slogans or sound bites or oversimplified narratives that discourage questioning and stall progress. Intellectually convenient, but professionally paralyzing, in my opinion. When adopted without examination, they lock practices and associations into these cycles of frustration or stagnation. And when adopted uncritically, they spread like a cancer in the profession. And the consequences for our profession are numerous, because when dental professionals surrender discernment, progress halts. The consequences ripple across every level of the profession when stupidity overcomes thought leadership. And when thought is surrendered, my friends, dentistry suffers in multiple ways. For the dentists, practices will remain trapped in outdated models of care and reimbursement. Just look at periodontal disease. Is it cured, or is it forever supervised neglect? How about innovation is stifled as many providers fear stepping outside of the status quo? And financial health suffers as practices fail to charge appropriately for high-quality products and services. Instead, we just believe these little anecdotes of, you signed a contract, you can't charge more, even though right in the contract of most plans it allows you to. For dental teams, the team members lose confidence in advocating for better care options because they're taught that status quo statement all the time. And staff burnout increases when they feel powerless against the way things are. This is how we've always done it. Or a culture of compliance replaces a culture of excellence. We see that all the time when team members try to learn something new and the YNINDIs emerge. Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. That's an acronym, YNINDI, okay? Those need to be replaced. For dental associations risk irrelevance by clinging to antiquated policies. I see it in the networking groups all the time. It's time to stop, beating up fluoride or hygienist acts or, I don't care what the teeth looked like in some prehistoric animal and what their mating responses were in primeval man based upon the tooth structure they see. And I've seen those articles written in the ADA morning huddles. They're irrelevant compared to what we experience in practice. Leadership may prioritize political comfort over bold advocacy. We just got off the phone just this last week with an individual with the ADA on insurance, and he kind of started out with, well, you signed a contract, there's nothing you can do. And man, I put an absolute stop in him, and I said, oh, there's a lot of things we can do, and don't use that as an excuse ever to us again here in Utah. With the laws that Tracy and I have accomplished here in Utah for dentists and dental team members and protecting the rights of the patients, no, there's a lot that can be done legislatively. Stop being fragmented and pass on what Tracy and I have done here in Utah to other associations. Tracy and I have worked with other associations, and it does work, but it needs to be more large scale. Members disengage, sensing that their associations echo slogans rather than promote meaningful change. Again, nobody wants to do insurance reform or hit it hard and fast. They talk a lot about it, but it's just like MLR. Has that moved the needle, the minimum loss ratio? No. How about the McCarran-Ferguson Act and overturning it? Has that moved the needle for everybody in private practice? No. So enough of the slogans. And for patients are denied access to the best care possible. We actually saw that with a particular CEO of an insurance plan in a state just north of us here. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that patients are given an option between LEPAT and MEPAT services. He is controlling and forcing the dentists on his plans to not offer that choice. And then he'll talk out of the other side of his mouth and say, well, we're not telling you how to practice dentistry. Well, actually, yes, sir, you are. You're financially holding me back because I'm not going to give away more of dentistry, more expensive products, materials, medication, technology to patients if I can't find a way to be reimbursed for it. So in essence, yeah, directly and indirectly, whatever you want to call it, you're definitely holding me back. Choices are limited by these artificial rules rather than clinical judgment. Trust erodes when patients perceive that dentistry is driven by contracts rather than care, or in short, the refusal to think critically does more damage than malice could ever accomplish. So there's a barricade to these slogans. One of the clearest examples is the resistance to charging PPO and even fee-for-service patients additional fees for those premium products and materials and technology. Despite evidence, despite proof, despite successful case studies, many still cling to the barricade of slogans. The contract doesn't allow it. Patients won't accept it. It's not worth the risk. But these positions are not the result of reasoned analysis. They're symptoms of Bonhoeffer's stupidity or a chosen refusal to think. And once a slogan has been absorbed, it becomes an emotional alliance. Whether it's on the side of the dentist or the side of a what I believe is a stupid and malice aligned CEO of an insurance plan. It's no longer about truth, but about belonging to a tribe or defending an ideology or avoiding discomfort. For the CEO of the insurance company, the discomfort is clients realizing that their insurance plan is just a dental benefit plan and they want to come across as an insurance plan. You're never going to be an insurance plan with the premiums that you collect. So why not allow dentists the opportunity to let fair market systems control the quality of care that they can provide to the patient instead of you trying to Mr. CEO, control dental care through a socialistic, or what I term as a communistic policy? That's ridiculous. In my practice, my business, we witness this resistance daily. Training sessions revealed the same barricade. You can't charge PPO and fee-for-service patients an additional fee for better products or care, no matter how often data is presented on how many case examples are shared. Some refuse to engage. The truth is not enough because the issue is not informational. It's psychological. The stupid person does not ask, is it true? They ask, is this popular? They don't ask, is this right? They ask, what will it cost me? And if you really think about that, you could totally see the CEO of an insurance plan asking that question. Or you can see a dentist or an office manager asking those questions. And that fog holds back progress, or holds back the ability to do better for our patients. There are case studies of breaking through the barricade. Case study number one is charging for superior restorative materials. I mean, why else does Clinical Research Associates, or now known as Clinical Research, why do they even exist? Why do the Forsyth Institute, why do they exist if they do not actually test materials and products and technology to see, do they do what they're supposed to do? And when they do that, they're able to rate them, from fair to good to great. Why is there even that rating if there's not some form of superior materials? So a mid-sized practice in the Midwest faced resistance from patients and staff when they considered charging an additional fee for premium composite materials that aren't covered by the PPO contract, meaning PPO contracts reimburse you for the least expensive professionally accepted treatment. That means you should be putting in Shine or Patterson brand type composites at $14, $15 a gram, not the wonderful Filtech Supremes and others at $40+ a gram. Nobody teaches us these business principles. That's like the gas companies, gas stations allowing you to pump premium gasoline, but you only pay regular fee. See, no business in the world does that. Think that through, folks. So initially, the staff echoed the common slogan, we can't charge more, it's against the rules. But after a careful review of contract language and training on patient communication, the practice introduced an enhanced option program. And patients were given the choice between standard covered materials and higher quality composites with a modest additional fee. We're not talking about nickel and diming, we're not talking about gouging, we're talking about procedural profitability that's at least like 30%. That puts you at a wholesale. Dentistry is supposed to be retail, but shoot, we can't even talk about that in this particular segment. Within 6 months, over 80% of their patients chose the enhanced option, folks. The patients' satisfaction scores increased, profitability improved. The barrier was not legal, it was actually just mental. Case study number two, expanding technology options on the West Coast. The practice there invested in same-day crown technology, but hesitated to offer it to their PPO patients, fearing rejection or contractual violation in charging more for it. Leadership initially surrendered to the slogan, insurance won't pay for this, so patients won't accept it. And when the practice reframed the conversation around patient convenience and aesthetic outcomes, greater technology, better margins, they introduced the technology as an elective upgrade. And the result, a large majority of the patients opted in, citing time savings and as a decisive factor, that not having to come back and be numbed up again, have wearing a temporary for 2 weeks. No. The result was amazing. Not only did revenue increase, but the team also regained pride in offering modern, patient-centered care. Give you a case study number 3, overcoming association resistance. A state-level dental association resisted advocating, this blows my mind, they resisted advocating for legislative change around insurance reimbursements and LEPAT, least expensive professionally accepted treatment options only, arguing that we've always done it this way. And a coalition of dentists and front office team members challenged that narrative by presenting case data from practices that successfully navigated contractual myths and delivered higher quality care and charged for it. Their persistence led to a policy review and eventual educational campaign that encouraged dentists to evaluate, not blindly follow, but evaluate insurance stipulations. These examples demonstrate that once the fog of slogans is lifted, practices and associations can reclaim both autonomy and excellence in the delivery of oral health care through legislation. But the stupidity of some dental plans and associations exists. Bonhoeffer's insight is clear. Stupidity can be more dangerous than malice, because while malice can be exposed and resisted, stupidity operates blindly, and it resists reason, clinging to the rigid structures that exist. And this is exactly what we see with some dental insurance plans in a handful of states that continue to deny patients the freedom to choose upgrades and value-added services. And despite the fact that many other dental plans across the country have already allowed such flexibility, it's right in their contracts, right in state laws. And what prevents patient choice is not necessarily malice, but an entrenched, short-sighted refusal to adapt. This institutional stupidity harms patients by stripping away their agency. It stifles innovation in dental care, and it creates a needless inequities across state lines. And Tracy and I have been on the forefront of these lines, battling these battles. We were instrumental in persuading Delta Dental of Idaho to respect patient choice in treatment options. Yet Delta Dental of Washington and Wyoming refused to adopt upgrading policies that empower patients and participating dentists. In those cases, we witnessed not just stupidity, but also malice from certain plan leaders, an unholy mix that undermines trust in the profession. Patients and dentists alike are grateful to the plans that do respect the freedom to choose and pay for upgraded services. Delta Dental of Utah, California, Texas, and 12, 13 other states, regions, Blue Cross, all these companies, because they understand the oral healthcare decisions belong to the patient, not the insurer. And I applaud all of you dental plans that allow that. Unfortunately, some dental plans simply do not care about the communities they claim to serve. And worse still, some dental associations, compromised by financial influence of third-party payers through convention sponsorships and other support, have failed their own members by aligning more with insurers and their interests than the dentists and the patients they serve. Why instruction is not enough? Dentistry often tries to solve these challenges with more information. We produce webinars, white papers, lectures. We share proof, we publish research, and yet nothing moves. Why? Because Bonhoeffer reminds us that stupidity cannot be reasoned with. You cannot debate someone out of a fog they choose to enter. You cannot instruct someone who has abdicated the responsibility of thought. The profession does not need more information. It needs more liberation. And hats off to the Idaho State Dental Association, their leaders, dentists in the state of Idaho, our clients and non-clients, and Delta Dental of Idaho, who came together to be able to give patients choice and not put the financial responsibility of free dentistry being emitted by the dentist, the team, and cost shifting from fee-for-service patients and higher paying dental plans to pay for the clients of Delta Dental of Idaho. Cost shifting is so unethical. And Delta Dental of Idaho is now coming to an agreement with the Idaho Dental Association, working together. I just hope and wish they adopt the language that Delta Dental of California, Utah, Texas, and 12 other states. I hope they adopt that language and not try to bastardize it. That language in their contracts is absolutely perfect. So liberation becomes the antidote to stupidity. Bonhoeffer wrote, only an act of liberation, not instruction, can overcome stupidity. You apply that to dentistry, and liberation means freeing ourselves and our profession from mental captivity is what I call it. It requires both internal courage and external action. That distinction is critical for dentistry. We cannot educate our way out of this challenge by repeating the same information louder. Instead, we got to focus on liberation. The key aspects of liberation in dentistry means emancipation, setting practices free from myths that limit financial growth and patient care. Freeing dentists and teams from the captivity of outdated mindsets, the status quo, Yanindi syndrome, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. Release from oppression, challenging restrictive interpretations of contracts that harm patients and providers alike. Gaining legislation, passing laws that release that oppression. And self-determination, meaning restoring autonomy to practices, empowering them to define standards of excellence, and collective struggle, meaning building a professional movement with dentistry that replaces slogans with truth and courage, and internal change. Awakening the courage within individual dentists and teams to think critically, to challenge assumptions and lead boldly. Effective leadership fosters beneficial change, and ineffective leadership harbors the status quo, resulting in stagnation. I just want to state one thing about internal change. In the state of Idaho, it was an intern director and an office manager from a dental practice that started that change, that planted the seeds of awakening, that made all this going on with Delta Dental of Idaho and this Idaho State Dental Association. Those two started it all, and we applaud them. When we plant these seeds of awakening, means liberation begins not with shouting facts, but with planting seeds of moral and intellectual awakening. Dentists and team members, you must be invited to ask the questions that you've long avoided. You need to ask the questions, is this true or just popular? Is this right or just convenient? Am I choosing this belief because it costs me less to accept it? The answers to these questions are not found in contracts or insurance handbooks, CDT code books. They are found in the courage to think independently again and again and again. How do we move forward? By planting seeds and speaking to the conscience, not just the intellect. We have to hold up a light in the dark spaces of misinformation, like we witnessed in the state of Idaho. We need to replace slogans with examination, reflection, and courage. We have to be courageous. We have to be able to work with insurance companies instead of against them, but then if they won't move, then we have to seek legislation. We have to inspire dental leaders and teams to see beyond the easy answers. In practice, this means challenging conversations at conferences, bold leadership in associations, and consistent encouragement within dental teams. It means presenting not just facts, but a vision of professional integrity and patient-centered care, always keeping the patient at center. Who will stand? I think the Bonhoeffer's warning challenges us. When the crowd runs one way, who will stand and resist that crowd? In dentistry today, that stand has to be taken against those slogans, against the groupthink and the willful surrender of thought that stifles progress, ethical progress. At My Practice, My Business, we choose to stand. We choose to plant seeds and to awaken thought and to challenge barriers and to light the path toward a liberated profession, because the future of dentistry depends not on what's popular, but what's right. Not all crowns are created equal. Not all implants are created equal. Not all bonding agents and composites and technology are created equal. They all have varying costs of goods and direct operating costs associated with them. To apply them into our practices, price points should never be the same. In conclusion, the threats facing dentistry are real, but the greater danger lies not in malice from external forces, but in our profession's own willingness to stop thinking. Bonhoeffer's words are both a warning and a call to action. Stupidity spreads when we surrender thought, but liberation is possible when we reclaim it. As leaders, teams, and associations, the choice before us has never been more clear. To echo slogans or to think boldly, act courageously, and lead dentistry into a future defined by truth, autonomy, and excellence. That's where we need to be. And Bonhoeffer's words are sobering. They're a sobering warning for dentistry today. Our greatest threat is not external pressure, but internal surrender. To overcome it, we have to be thinkers and doers. We need to liberate and we need to lead. This world is full of followers. We need leaders, not followers. The question remains, who will stand when the crowd runs the other way? And for us here, the answer is clear. Tracy and I and our team at My Practice, My Business, we will stand. I hope this has been enlightening. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We hope you have a great day. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And thanks again for your support in our company.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there has never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.